If the real estate market in your country has gone bananas, there is something very intriguing about a very beautiful country like Japan. Buying is very, very easy in Japan, but renovating one up to standards. Japan, the population is declining with almost 1 million people a year, and with that comes a lot of weird consequences. I think it's more about the exchange of energy. It needs to be kids around playing, and you need to create that kind of community, and those were human beings, you know?
Thanks for joining us on Unpacking Japan, proudly produced by our team at Zen Studio with the long-standing support of Zen Group. To keep these weekly stories coming, please consider subscribing. It's the best way to support the show and really makes a difference. And now, let's get into it. Welcome to Unpacking Japan. I'm Toby, and today I have the pleasure to sit here for the second time with Anton. Thank you very much for coming again.
Danke schön, Toby. And thank you for bringing me to Osaka.
Yeah,
again.
It's a pleasure. We've spoken about 1.5 years-ish, 2 years ago, at a time when you had finished renovating your first apartment. You had started and were doing the Japandi house in a little street in this Ikenya that turned out beautifully. I think you were still renovating that when we were talking. And it came out, or it was open to the public shortly after. And we talked about quite a few other projects that were in the works, but now some of them are finished, some of them remain unfinished, and you've got a lot of new things going on. So we're going to unpack a little bit all of that. And where to start? Shall we start with the house that you finished right after we spoke?
That was 2024. I remember last time I was here, I brought my mother to Osaka and Kyoto. She was here visiting Japan for the first time. And at that time, I was working on Nakano House, which was this house close to Shin Nakano Station. This was in spring. So I think we finished that house about 2 months later. My second freestanding house at the time. And also my that house took about 6 months to finish, which is the fastest we've ever constructed a house.
Okay.
Right now, like I think the more houses that you make and the more you renovate, your taste gets kind of like more and more expensive.
Well, I imagine you pick more complex houses, and also from everything you learn, you start to want to go more into the details of like,
exactly.
Oh, this is also possible, and you want to do.
And you want to learn, and you want to challenge yourself. And we also do a lot more research on materials. We went to Tajimi to see how they build and how they make Japanese traditional tiles and ceramics. And I'm a big nerd when it comes to materials. We always use natural materials, natural hardwood tiles, and as little plastic as possible. So everything around that in the creative process is really interesting to me. I'm a Swede living here in Japan. So I think as a foreigner, you appreciate a lot of things with Japanese craftsmanship and the Japanese society that maybe Japanese people, or if you're born and raised here, that's just in front of you and atarimae in a way. But as a foreigner, you can kind of bring out those beauty spots and make it and bring it into the future in a way.
So that kind of created this Japandi style a little bit with your cultural background, also your family background, growing up with a lot of woodwork, I remember. Yes. And now your interest in how things are done here in Japan, a combination of both that culminated at the time in the Nakano House. So
yes.
You mentioned your second freestanding house at the time. I think it got a lot of media attention too. People got interested in your project. And it seemed that it was your first larger scale public facing project that people realize, oh, there's this Swedish guy here. He's onto something. He's not just renovating his own akiya for his own use, but he's got an idea and he's got a plan. What happened for you when that house was like open to the public?
It was the first house, the previous house that kind of went viral. We finished that house in 2023, Sangenjaya House. And I documented that process on my Japanese-speaking YouTube channel at the time. So there were no content available in English. It was finished. We started listing it on Airbnb. And my friend from New York, Caleb Simpson, the guy, hey, how much do you pay for rent in New York? He came by, he toured it. And at the same time, maybe a month before, I opened up Anton in Japan, which was the English-speaking YouTube channel, about the process, kind of telling my story in retrospective. And 2 or 3 weeks later, after starting that channel, We had hundreds of thousands of followers on YouTube and all
Wow.
the channels. So after that, I wrote the book, Free Houses in Japan, looking for the next kind of renovation project. And Nakano House became that project. And it was the first house that I could document on Anton in Japan in English from the beginning till the end, how to renovate an old dilapidated house in Tokyo. So it was hard in many ways, because building and renovating a house on its own, it's very time consuming and it requires a lot of knowledge and brain power and also financial restraints as well. It's gotten a lot more expensive just the past year or two, but 2 years ago, I think we finished that house with about $50,000 in budget just for the renovation, which is like not with my time included.
But just like material, hired help, and
yes.
kind of.
I worked on that one with my carpenter, Kazuki-san, who's a phenomenal carpenter. Like he's so like, he cares about the small details and the Japanese craftsmanship. And just like building these sashimono, the old miyadaiku, the traditional temple carpenter joints. So that was the first project that we really documented it from the beginning till the end. And that became kind of a milestone in a way for me, to learn how to document a process while building it as well. After that, we have renovated. I don't know how much you follow, because we build a lot of things that are not actively shown as well, because you can only, I think social media is, people don't have an attention span anymore. And the more you make it complicated, the less people understand. So I try to talk to my viewers as like anyone can watch it, even if you're 10 years old, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, like it should be easy to understand.
And you'll pick one project and focus on that one, even though many others are kind of happening in the background.
Exactly. But that's usually a project that I care a lot about. What I realized now, we renovated Japandi waterfall house. It's my first successful project in the countryside. We had a big failure after I saw you last time as well, with the Chiba farmhouse. It just got too big and I had to walk away after a lot of bad things happened. But it turned out good in the end. And Japandi waterfall house got my entire like shuchu attention, and it got my entire Japandi waterfall house became a huge passion project, and we've been documenting that for the past 10 months.
So we'll talk about that project next, because this is your latest.
Yes.
But you said that one of the things that was important for you on the Nakano house at the time was to be able to document this in English while doing this.
Yes.
And that, do you feel like that kind of gave you a little bit more credibility as well to complement the book that you had already written and some of the projects you've done more privately? But suddenly the English audience sees you doing this from start to finish with all the details. You also have the book and you are public about wanting to do more and continuing this. So do people start turning to you for or companies in Japan like, hey, we have this akiya, do you want to make a project here? And how do you then decide to go from there?
So first of all, yes, many companies, both high-end companies, akiya companies, renovation companies, people reach out with akiyas all the time. For me, I think there's a big misconception about akiya, especially from the foreign community. And we see a listing online at $10,000, $5,000, $15,000. And if the real estate market in your country has gone bananas for the past few years, there is something very intriguing about buying a house, buying a vacation house, maybe buying a forever house in a very beautiful country like Japan. But buying is very, very easy in Japan. But renovating one up to standards and making it livable is really the hardest thing, really. So we get a lot of opportunities thrown at us, but we do a lot of calculations and a lot of, we think a lot about the property and also the area before we jump on the opportunity. It can be a beautiful, big house, not too far away from Tokyo, but as I said, we failed pretty massively with the Chiba farmhouse. So the more you fail, the more you know what kind of direction you want to go, I think.
So that project, the Chiba farmhouse, was something you had started just about the time when we recorded and we met. You just described it as a failure, which ended still on a positive note. But what happened? What was the idea behind the project that you wanted to do there, and what kind of prevented you from getting it to where you imagined it?
So I think this is something that the viewers might learn a lot about, because you see these listings online, these gorgeous big Japanese kominkas with, in my case, it was a 110-year-old kominka, 250 square meters big, on a huge plot of land next to the ocean in Chiba Prefecture. So from Sangenjaya, where I live, it was about 65 minutes by car. And we bought it with everything left inside. It took us 2 months just to clear out the previous owner's things. And I was really busy in Tokyo. I think from when Nakano House finished and up until now, we've renovated successfully 5 houses in Tokyo. 5. Not all of them are mine, but we're involved in other like renovation and design projects too.
As a like consultant, or
overview.
You take care of one part of the project.
Or overview branding and like, how do you renovate a house like this? Because Japan has this culture of tearing down a perfectly fine house and instead of renovating it, which to me is kind of crazy. It's changing slowly, like with the rising real estate prices and rising construction costs. So people are learning how to do it, but the average knowledge about renovation is fairly low. So we've been helping out a lot of Japanese real estate companies and designers with renovation, which is a lot of fun too.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Creating is the most fun thing with renovation.
So the less fun part was spending 2 months going back and forth between your home and Chiba to just basically empty the trash.
Exactly. So we emptied the trash and sold what we could, but most of it was just throwing things away. And it's just an endless money pit. Just throwing things away is expensive, demolishing, then building it up again.
For people that have no clue, you can't just throw things into the regular trash. You have to bring it to the specific place where they can take larger size appliances, home appliances, or a specific type of materials and such. To empty like a house that big, that contains basically someone's life, what's the ballpark of cost of just throwing away everything?
So we got a quote on just throwing the things away before renovation had started. And that quote was the same amount of the price that we purchased the house and the land for. So about 2 million yen just to throw things away. And then renovation could start.
That's basically $12,000 or
about 13, 14,000 US dollars.
And 11,000, 12,000 euros-ish.
Exactly.
So, just to throw away the garbage.
And then you have a kind of a clean slate, and then demolition is starting, and then design and like buying things and everything started. So I think we're like, now I'm speaking from my experience with Japandi Waterfall House, but with my experience now, I think that project would have landed me at about 20 million yen. And then the maintenance, it's a 2,000 square meter big garden. And I went there like once a month, and every time I went there, the garden was completely overgrown.
And so the day you plan to spend there to do work on a house, you spend basically cleaning the garden
with a weed whacker and just like clean things and just work on the garden basically. So at the end, I left the house completely, like we fixed the water leaks and everything that was kind of urgent, and then my Tokyo life just got too busy. I started kind of documenting that process also on YouTube, and people were a little bit annoyed and upset and a little bit disappointed, I would say, that I kind of left it as it was. But I left it in a very clean slate. And that was about the time when the broker that I purchased the house from reached out and asked me if I wanted to buy Japandi Waterfall House. And I went there. This gorgeous place next to Awamata Waterfall in Chiba. She just called me out of nowhere and said, "Yeah, Anton, I've found a place that I know you want to buy. It says your name on the roof." Kind of those. Okay, what is it? I'm not really looking for a house. I'm just too busy with the previous house you sold me and my Tokyo projects. She's like, no, like, you cannot let this opportunity fly away. Just go and have a look and see what you can do about it. So I met her at Ebisu Station, a rainy fall evening in 2024, picked up the key, And then I drove out there. It's about 80 minutes away. It was also a rainy day, and right next to the waterfall. And I saw the opportunities with this place, not only because of the location and the waterfall and the scene, but you could tell that this was a place that had history, and just you can kind of see that it used to be beautiful back in the day. And the more you do it, like, you can kind of see how it used to look back in the day. And that was really interesting and very intriguing to me. And I jumped on the opportunity, and then I kept it for 6 months, left Chiba farmhouse as it was, and finished off the Tokyo projects. Because I started renovating the next door house of Sangenja house, and then the other next door one. So now we have 3 houses on a small street in Sangenja that are all short-term rentals, and one in the nearby Wakabayashi, which is 10 minutes walking. So all the projects that we started in Tokyo, I finished them beautifully. And then when we were done with that, we jumped on Japandi waterfall house.
You still have that farmhouse that's basically emptied and the main things are fixed. It's a project you had in mind. At what point do you decide, I have to let it go?
When Tokyo life got too busy. And I think that's probably a good learning for many viewers as well, because I don't have a full-time job. I have the time and somehow the expertise. I speak Japanese, and I could dedicate a lot of time into reviving these and make these big houses beautiful. You buy them cheap. You can renovate them at somehow on a cheap budget. If you would ask a company to do this, they would probably charge you 2 or 3 times what it costs me to make them beautiful. At the same time, there was also something, this house, the farmhouse, was abandoned for about 10 years. And I bought it, I started working on it, I fixed the emergency stuff, but then I left it abandoned too. So it's like an unfinished, there was something inside of me that didn't like it. But I just kept it there. So I basically bought a house, and then I made it into another akiya, basically. But when Japandi Waterfall House started, we worked on it for maybe a month or 1.5 months. And we used that house as a storage. So whenever we bought big material and stuff, we could store things there.
They're not too far from each other in Chiba?
They're about 45 minutes away from each other. But Tokyo, there's no space in Tokyo at all.
And if there is, it's probably very expensive.
Oh, super expensive. So, and we had a big 4 or 5 car garage at the farmhouse, so we could just keep everything there. I buy a lot of used things on Yahoo Auction and Mercari from old showrooms. You can, whenever a good unit comes up, and you can buy it like a really high end. I bought a kitchen for a new project that we have next to Skytree. And you buy it at 10% of what it would cost brand new, for beautiful wooden cabinets and from Cucina.
Okay.
So it's the most high-end unit here in Japan, and you buy it for basically peanuts. So
do you already know that it's gonna fit?
Yeah, I know.
So you kind of have, you don't buy it just because it's a good opportunity financially, but you also know it's a good opportunity financially, but it fits into the project that you're planning to use it for.
So you save a lot of time, and it takes a little bit of time to source these things. But when you know the size of things that you want, I look at these auction sites maybe once or twice a week. So when something good comes up, you think about it for a day or two, and then I usually put my bid in. But after about 1.5 or 2 months of working with the Japandi Waterfall House, we went to pick up some things at the farmhouse. And I went there, and I realized that someone had been inside my house. We had theft going on. They stole all my tools, and they stole other valuables inside. We didn't have that many super valuable things. But yeah, and at that moment, I just knew, okay, I have to let it go. They stole the old air cons. They stole the tin roof on the entrance. They stole my, a saw, a welding machine, just random, to me, kind of random things. Monetary value, it was maybe $500 in total, I think, that I lost. But just the feeling of, I felt kind of used in a way, is that the right word? And it just so happened that there was a big plot of land next to the farmhouse that had a big sign that said Uri bukken or Uri chi, which there's a
For sale.
Yeah, for sale. So I called the broker up and said, hey, do you want to sell my house too? Because they know the area, and whenever you're buying or selling real estate in Tokyo or Japan, I have the idea of going as local as possible because they know the area, they know the buyers, they know who wants to buy it. And it just so happened that they wanted to buy it. So my friend who deals a lot with Mitsuhata-san, who deals a lot with akiya properties all over Japan, unfortunately, he doesn't speak any English. So, but if you want his contact, I'm happy to introduce if people want to buy akiyas from Mitsuhata-san. But he helped me negotiate things, and then they bought it. And about a month ago, the buyer, who's a developer in the area, he sent me a picture of the farmhouse, or where the farmhouse used to be. And it was just a flat piece of land. This 110-year-old house that I worked on for 2, 3, 4 months, fixed everything, cleaned it all out. I had to let it go. I made a profit on it. I think it was the value that was obviously the value in the property, but
and taking out the trash so that the others don't have to do
exactly.
this. Exactly. How do you?
He said he spent 8 million yen on demolishing this house.
So $50,000.
About $50,000 to demolish the house and just clear the. It was this beautiful old Japanese garden with these big rocks and palm trees and Japanese pine trees, and they just cleared everything. It's just a flat piece of land.
If you think back about this project, and let's say you didn't get the call for the waterfall house at the same time, what would you do differently to actually see it through and not end up in a situation that a project like that has to be kind of stopped because it's just not sustainable for you?
It's a very good question. I believe that without my experience with through the waterfall house, I probably would have worked on the farmhouse for a few more months, or maybe half a year, or maybe a year. It's a tough feeling to kind of give up, I think. And when you have the gambaru spirit and you like to kind of pull through things and pull things to the end, it feels a little bit weird to kind of give up, I think. So I probably would have kept going for a while, maybe made it livable, but maybe not to the quality that I wanted, I think.
Because what you then also realize is when you have it empty and you start demolishing a little bit, that's when you see all the problems and all things that need to be fixed. Right?
I already knew that, like we had a lot of termites and a lot of beams and posts. They were completely like rotten. So I knew that it was going to be a big job. The good thing is that you are in the countryside. There's a lot of problems with the houses that we work on in Tokyo too. But you work on such a compact space, so things kind of get easier in a way, but harder when it comes to logistics. Like, how do you throw away trash, and how do you order things so they come in the right order? When you're demolishing and you order the kitchen and the kitchen arrives, where do you even store it?
Yeah, you need to have it arrive at the right time so that the other furniture is not yet in place, so you can actually put it where it belongs.
Yes. So all of these things it's easier in the countryside. But it's also harder to find good, reliable labor as well when you're new to an area. We have such an in-worked kind of community in Tokyo, and I know who to call for what kind of problems. And whenever you start a project in a place where you're not familiar with, it always takes time to build that infrastructure around things.
Does the distance also make it more difficult that you have to drive over an hour to go there, come back every single time you want to do some work, see the property, meet someone in that area, as opposed to in your neighborhood?
Totally. I always enjoyed going out to these projects because I think what I really like about building and about renovating is that it's very tangible. You see a change by the end of the day. Let's say you make a piece of content, or you work on something bigger, or you can work for days or sometimes weeks and you can't see result. But then maybe a month later, if you just stay consistent, you get there. But when it comes to building, you see, by the end of the day, you know what you've accomplished in a way. whether it's demolition or whether it's building a cabinet or tiling or flooring, or it's very visible, and that's something that it's very fulfilling, I would say. So it's of course every day at work it's not fun, but you just have to endure and like wake up in the morning with you get some good sleep and you eat some good food and you have your morning coffee and then you get to it.
And that little feeling of accomplishment at the end of the day motivates you for the next one.
Totally.
For you, that you just finished the Nakano house, you documented the process. It gave you more confidence to continue, and you start getting a lot of interest also from other people for projects. Then you have a project that you're unable to really finish. And maybe you start reflecting a lot about what we discussed a little bit just now, how to do it differently, where the problems were, and what to consider for the next project. When you think about, and I imagine you look a little bit at the akiya market and what's being discussed online, and this huge interest at the moment in having a vacation home and such, and a lot of people that are not in Japan wanting to buy this. What do you want to tell? What do you want them to know about this project? Like, what is a reality on the ground? Because you're in that all day, every day. You document, you write about it. What should they know before they really kind of seriously start dreaming about having a vacation home in the Japanese countryside?
I think there are many things that they should know. And I think this is a pretty new market. You see a lot of content lately from people, Japanese, foreigners, just anyone. There's so many people making content about akiyas right now. And what I think it's very easy to see it as an opportunity and to be kind of lured and tricked into that world. For some people, it's amazing, I think. If you want that lifestyle, I think it's perfect. Mm-hmm. But you have to love nature and you have to spend time at the property. It's not like a hands-off investment, so to say. You really have to spend time and be there and build your infrastructure. And I think that there are many things with Japanese culture and Japanese language that maybe you can get away with it elsewhere in the US or Europe. Like you pay someone and then your problem just goes away. But that's really not how Japan works. Mm. Japan is so much more risk averse, and Japan is so much more relationship based. So sometimes you don't really understand why a contractor kind of denies you the job because they just don't want to do it. I think I got away like too far away from the point. What was the question again? Like
what should people know before maybe seriously dreaming about starting a project? What should they be prepared for if they want this vacation home in the Japanese countryside?
They should be prepared that the house is in worse condition than it appears to be. They should be prepared that Japan, with a very humid climate, things grow like crazy, especially if you have a big garden. They should be prepared that a bigger house is not necessarily a better thing. I think many Americans are used to 5,000 square meter big houses and a 500 square meter big house, but if you actually buy a big Edo-style temple or a big kuminka, the maintenance on these big houses, it's pretty insane.
Is it even realistic if you're not living here to want to buy and renovate one, assuming you're not hiring a company to do it from scratch, which, as you mentioned before, will cost a lot of money, a lot more than the purchasing price of the property?
Yes, I think it's totally doable, but I think there are different types of akiyas. I think the word akiya is very hyped, and it's been hyped now for a few years. But I think that there's a lot of other good houses as well that are not necessarily akiyas. Maybe they were akiyas, or maybe there was a company that renovated them and made them kind of livable. But I think it's a Western mentality of wanting to put character and put your own kind of stamp to the house that you live in. I remember the first apartment that I renovated in Sweden, and it had a wall. And I remember the broker, he told me that, okay, this apartment, if it has a wall, normally the buyer, he wants to tear it down. But if it doesn't have a wall, the buyer is going to want to put the wall up. So it's like full circle. And I think that's something about Western culture where we want and we care. Maybe it's just a Scandinavian thing, but we care about the way we live in a way that we want personality, we want character, and we want sunlight, and we want to make the house and home our own. Whereas here, it's the housing developers, and they build a house and people move in. It's convenient and it's new. And I think that's more of a Japanese way of living in a way. With that said, I think it's totally doable to buy an akiya. You can buy an akiya, you can buy a house, and it just depends on it depends on you. How much time can you spend on this house, and how much money do you have? And how long can you be in Japan? And how much do you know about construction? I think there's so many variables to it.
So the key idea, I would say, from what you're saying that is not true, is it's just going to be a quick, cheap one house and done.
No, not at all.
There will be a lot of additional time that needs to be invested, potentially money, and also a lot of maybe effort into the relationships that you brought up before. And sometimes maybe the people, they don't want to work with you. They don't want you there. And you said something interesting about the farmhouse, that you bought an akiya and you turned it into another akiya.
Exactly.
And I feel like from various conversations I've had on the topic of akiya, and also with you last time, that's what the local communities are often afraid of, because they are maybe happy that someone moves in, but they want the space to be used either as a house for family to settle, and as we also discussed with Matt Ketchum, or a social space that brings people together and creates activity, but not into just an empty home, another empty home, but renovated.
Like Japan, like the population is declining with almost 1 million people a year. And with that comes a lot of weird consequences, right? One of them is labor shortage. But in my area in Tokyo, on this Sunday, I have a big TV show out that I shot with TV Asahi, Hattori's morning show. And they kind of shadowed me for a day. And they interviewed my neighbor in Sangenjaya, where we've renovated 3 houses next to each other. And she talked to the reporter and she was almost crying. Like, it was so beautiful. I feel so happy. These houses were vacant and empty for so long. And Anton worked so hard and like reviving them. And there's always people. And then there is energy here. That's what she said. She said that the houses in the street was completely like empty before. And since we like did something to it, she said her life has been like better and elevated, which was, I became really kind of moved and touched in a way. And it was very, very,
because it
touched me too.
It's not just a house for you, so to say. It's building in a community, whether it's a building to live, whether it's a building to rent, whether it's a building to have a social space.
Yes.
If you walk past a dilapidated house every day, or your neighbor's house is dilapidated, it's depressing for you too, I guess. So for those people, it is also important, but then also to not be left to decay again.
Yes. And I think it's not only about like buying a house, and if you can only be there a few weeks a year, it doesn't really matter, I think. I think it's more about the exchange of energy. Like it needs to be kids around playing, and people need to be there, and you need to kind of create that kind of community. And those, I think we're human beings, you know. We need connection to other people. And if all your neighbors' houses are vacant and empty, like how fun is that really?
You just mentioned the TV show that shadowed you for the day. And I'm quite curious because, you know, I'm asking you a lot of questions about akiya and your project and such from a foreign perspective as well. Although I live here and I've been here for a little while, I've had multiple conversations, but still my perspective probably foreign on the matter.
Yes.
The Japanese TV channel, what are they looking for? What do they see? What are they curious about? How do they discuss the topic when they are interviewing you?
So I think the Japanese community and Japan, over 120 million people, right? It's a huge society. And they have, almost 10 million vacant homes, right? And it's a huge societal issue. And I think people don't really want to talk about it. And this is not a problem that is going away, because the amount of akiyas and the consequences of the aging and declining population is it's a pretty big topic. There is a few. There's going to come like pretty big changes. I think when it comes to akiyas and especially inheritance, because one of the big reasons for there being so many akiyas is that you don't have to. Let's say your parents pass away, they own real estate. That real estate, the ownership goes to the. I'm just explaining very easy because it's quite complicated. The ownership goes to the kids, but they haven't up until now needed to register the house as theirs. So the legal owner is still their parents who are not alive anymore, right? So there are several reasons to this, but most of it is tax reasons. And that's one of the reasons why akiyas are such a big thing, really. Because who owns it? Especially, let's say you have four siblings. Like you're 4 people owning it and no one takes ownership of the house, right?
Because suddenly they have a second property tax that gets added.
That as well.
And especially if it's a house, it's a relatively large tax because you've got the property, but you've got the land.
Yeah, but not only property tax, inheritance tax.
On the value of the...
On the value of the house and the value of the land, which is usually not as much as the actual property value, but still, if you have a normal job and then all of a sudden...
You are asked to pay $500,000, $1 million, or I don't know how much
taxes. So you see a lot of content on Japanese Instagram or TikTok where people, I just inherited my parents' house. It's worth $10 million, and now I have to pay a few $1 million in like inheritance tax. Dollars sometimes, because people pass away. Like it's part of.
So that's a big problem for Japanese society, but they don't know how to address the topic, what to do about it.
Yes. And I think that has to do with, the population decline and, like the broker and then the development kind of world here in Japan. Because most brokers and most people in the property world, they want to deal with easy houses, which I also understand. Like problematic properties, that's mostly what akiyas are, especially in Tokyo. You could say that most akiyas in the countryside, they're just normal houses. But due to urbanization, people move into Tokyo. This is really interesting because in Tokyo, most of the akiyas, they are either unrebuildable. You're not allowed to rebuild it because in most cases, there are several reasons to it. But most of the time, the road facing street is less than 2 meters wide. There are ways to get around it. I met with a developer last week who they worked with a municipality in order to rebuild a house that was on unrebuildable land. But they worked together with the politicians in order to be able to rebuild it. And I think there's going to be some law changes when it comes to this, because to me, it's crazy.
So just to understand it correctly, there's a narrow road in front of a house. The house is in akiya. You potentially want to buy that land, but you don't want that house because it's too old. You don't want to renovate it. So you want to tear it down, rebuild, and you're not allowed because the road is too narrow.
You're not allowed.
So you can renovate it, but you cannot tear it down and build a new one.
You can renovate it, but last year, in 2025, 1st of April, there were new renovation laws coming. So there are big renovations that by law, you cannot do it. If you want to move the staircase, for example, you're not allowed to do it. If you want to change the roof, for example, you're not allowed to do it. So there are several things that you're not really allowed to do. And one of them is, you cannot tear it out and build a brand new house. But that's just one of them. There could be leased land as well. There could be zochiku, or like illegal structures that they built a house in the 50s or 60s, but they never registered it. It's quite common. It's more common than you think. You see so many houses that were built a long, long time ago, but they never registered the structure. There's also jikobukken, which is, what do you call it?
There was an accident. Someone who passed away.
Someone passed away, or maybe there was a crime. And then there's a few other ones as well. But the most common one is the saikinchiku fuka, so like non-rebuildable structures. And I love those properties because I love renovating and I love to create and you get them for 1/4 of the price.
And so to get back to the TV channel, they're then probably interested about what do foreigners think about the problem? How do they approach it? What are they doing with these properties? And they kind of just want to dig into this.
Yes. So my kind of positioning and my brand in Japan is, I would say, DIY interior and akiya, basically. And they love the Scandinavian aspect of things.
The Japandi, this
The
kind
Japandi,
of mutual
yes,
connection.
the mix. And I always build with a tatami mat. We definitely have a tatami room. We have shoji doors. We build with tiles from Tajimi. All those like tiny nerdy things that they find it super interesting and weird, I think, because for them it's Showa Kusai. So like it's old and
older generation.
outdated. Yeah.
But
But
you
in
make it
10,
modern.
15, 20 years, maybe it will come back again.
Always does, the cycle.
I think so. I think so.
You just said your brand in Japan is like this kind of DIY Japandi.
Yeah.
It's a brand that you had on social media a little bit, but eventually, when I was doing all these projects, you decided it's not just me.
Yeah.
It's not just social media. You want to turn this into a company.
Yes.
At what point did you decide to kind of establish yourself and set up your office? I think you have it now. You've rented that space, which you're also renovating.
Yes.
Or have renovated in Senganjaya.
It's 2 minutes from Senganjaya station. So we opened up a real estate agency actually in Tokyo.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a few employees right now. And I realized that I kind of started with the absolute hardest thing, renovating akiyas, like renovating a house with good bones that's registered, easy, clean. It's easy. Renovating an apartment that we've done a few collaboration projects with zero renovation, it's easy. But taking on an akiya is probably the hardest thing, I think. So I think people start with the easier properties, I think, and then they go on to the harder ones, I would guess. But we started in the complete opposite kind of side of things. And we bought quite a lot of properties the past year or 2 years. And I realized, or I learned, that in order to flip properties, like in order to buy and tenbai suru, you need to be a registered real estate company.
Mm-hmm.
On top of that,
so you cannot do it if you're just by yourself. You buy something, you renovate it, and you resell.
You can. It's kind of a gray zone. But buying a house with the intention of reselling it.
That's the intention, okay. Yeah.
You can, I think you can sell 1 or 2 every 2 years or every year. I'm not 100% sure on the rules. But we've been buying a lot. We've been renovating a lot as well. We sold one apartment, the collaboration, which I didn't personally buy. The Zero Renovation Company, they handled all the legal stuff. But since we own quite a lot of units and houses now, I think it was a natural progression of just getting a real estate license. And then now we can actually help people too. Because my inbox, we reach 30, 40 million people a month on social media. And many of these people want to buy properties, mostly in
you probably need one
side.
person full time just to reply to everyone.
If you have something going viral, we probably do. So it really depends on the month and what kind of content that's going viral. If it's very like personal about what we do, if we have content about our houses, and then we could probably have not full time, because a full time person and a full time employee, they can do a lot, but.
So the natural progression, establishing the real estate agency, and you just explained also getting that license.
Yes.
Do you have that license personally, or does someone in the company need to have that license? How do they work?
So I tried to take the Takken last year in October. It was me and an ocean of Japanese people. I was the only white person in Todai who took the test. I failed.
Tokyo University.
Tokyo University in Komaba. But it's so hard. It's really, really hard.
If you were to briefly explain it, what are the expectations for this test? What are they going to ask you about in order to give you the license?
So in order to get the real estate license in Japan, you need to pass that. It depends. It's kind of like JLPT, but a lot of like Japanese law and a lot of trick questions about real estate and what's going on in this situation. And a lot of also about inheritance and everything around, basically.
So legal system, construction regulations, building classifications,
like everything
materials.
Around it. Not so much about materials. It's a lot of legal and a lot of contracts and a lot of juyo, jiko, setsume and everything around it. It's I didn't study enough, but I've been living the kind of real estate and renovation life here in Japan for the past 6-7 years. So I know the basics, I would say, but I knew after the test that I didn't pass this. So I hired a very capable real estate agent. Her name is Makiko, and we work together now.
Okay. So in order for the company to operate, one person having the license as part of the company allows you to proceed those with your operations. Maybe a license you want to try again.
I'm going to try every year.
You can do once a year?
Once a year, in October or November. So you can try once a year. I have many. The passing rate is like 16 or 17%.
Oh, quite low. Okay.
It's very low. The big Japanese real estate companies, they make all the employees take the test every year.
So that they just increase the percentage of employees that have.
Yes.
Wow.
One of my most capable real estate agents, a Japanese man, he's been working in real estate for about 20 years. He failed 9 times. And then the 10th time he passed it.
Well, let's hope you don't have to take it that many times.
We'll see about that.
What rights does this license grant you? What are you allowed to do after you have it that you were not before?
So you're allowed to broker, basically.
Okay.
You're allowed to, you join the kind of kyokai, what do you call it?
Like the business organization?
Yeah,
like
the real estate organization.
Association.
Yeah, because there are 2 associations. It's the rabbit, and then it's the
turtle?
No, it's the rabbit, and then it's the hato. So the
dove.
Yeah. So you have like I've been on a lot of business trips like internationally the past few weeks, but whenever I'm in Tokyo, I've been going around and like handing out my meshi to a lot of competitors and non-competitors, and just show that we're clean, we're a good company, we're not here to do anything bad. Because it's a very old market.
Old, and I imagine everyone kind of knows each other. So to go back to some points you were asking or mentioning before about getting the contractor to do something with you.
Yes.
If they don't know you, very difficult. If your name has come up, your company's come up, they're like, okay, this company is
relationship based, I think. So yeah, we're basically a brokerage, which to me is kind of like, it's a weird name, but we've had so many requests from people like over the past few years. So I think it's a very natural progression.
So now your company could basically solve one of the points that I was asking you about earlier, was people that live overseas that want a property, they could reach out to you, you could help them find a property, you could potentially renovate it for them, and then it will be theirs. Basically.
Exactly. So up until now, we have been buying, or I have been buying, and then we've been renovating, and then we've been offering them as short-term rentals through Japandi houses. But I realized that there's a huge market for people who actually want a home, and they don't want these, not only cookie cutters, but they want to make them their own. They want to put character on their homes, on their vacation homes. Maybe they already live here. So with our renovation and expertise and our previous, with Rikishi, what do you call it?
Your history.
Your
track records of business operations.
Our track record of buying and renovating in Tokyo, I think we can provide a lot of value to a lot of customers and a lot of people. But that's very exciting. It's a little scary too.
I can imagine. Suddenly a lot more pressure when you're not just doing it by yourself for your own properties.
And a lot more planning too. Yeah. And listening to other people. I've been helping out with a little bit of design for other people, which is fun. But when there are many different minds and many different opinions, you see that in Japanese companies a lot. There are 15 people deciding, and the process of making even the smallest kind of decision sometimes takes forever. So the more people who has a say, the longer time it might take. So
you need to anticipate, plan ahead, have multiple things working at once. But sometimes also planning is something you shouldn't do.
Exactly.
And I think you made a video about that specifically with regards to your waterfall house.
Yes.
So you just talked about all your experience that you've kind of gathered. So I want to go back to that house. You got that phone call, you drive over there, and you explained that when you walked to that gate, you just knew.
Yes.
What did you see when you arrived at that property that was at that time in a relatively bad condition, also a little bit overgrown? What did you look at? What are the things that made you instantly go yes, I need this. I need to work on this?
I think the first thing I always look at is obviously location. Do I want to spend a lot of time in this location? Because a renovation takes forever. Do I want to commute to this place? Maybe you don't have to do it for a few years, but like, do I want to spend every day for the next 6 months at this place? And I knew the location was good. And I think the second thing was the charm. Like, it just appealed to me, everything. It was the garden. It was completely overgrown. Nature, like running water right next door, huge waterfall. And first time when we were there, it was filled with the previous owner's things. And you could feel that someone really took care of this place back in the day. There was a calendar on the wall from 2002. That was 24 years ago. And there was a newspaper on the table from 2011. So we didn't really know how long it was vacant. The broker didn't really tell us these things. But you just know. You just know when it's right, you know.
If we assume that the timestamps on this newspaper was maybe one of the last times someone has lived there, that's over 10 years ago, over a decade. Why do you think no one in those 10 years walked there and saw the potential you saw in the place and decided, oh, actually, we could do something great here?
That's a very good question too. I don't know. I really don't know.
So when you see this and you're like, I have the chance to sign the deed and to acquire that property, you have the experience. How do you approach this new project? What's the first thing you do after you actually have all the papers in order and you know it's yours, you can start working on it? Because you said no plan.
No plan. I think first you need to feel the space. And you feel the space by spending time there, really. Don't stress the first decisions, really. You got to feel what's broken, what's not broken. In our case, we had to spend time there in order to clean out everything from before. And I knew that I didn't want to change too much on this property, how it was. Like we rebuilt things to make it look as authentic and kind of original as possible. We redid the entire tatami room, but while we redid everything, we made it look like the original room. So we spent weeks on making it look, because all the joists were completely rotten. It was ant-eaten, like the ceiling and the mold and all the doors were completely, we had to redo the doors from scratch, new tatamis, insulation, everything around insulation in the ceiling, new ceiling boards. We had to redo everything, but still it looks like the original room. Maybe the colors on the wall and the hiri on the tatami is a little bit different.
Do you sometimes worry at this early stage of discovering and getting a feel for the space that you might uncover something that is not repairable, that is like, oh, that might kind of really throw a big wrench into the whole project?
Yes, it happens all the time. The only thing that you really can't fix is when there's nothing you can't fix. The things that are really expensive is when it's been leaking water for a very long time and whenever there's termites. So if one of the side beams are termite eaten, it happens quite a lot. Water leaks in, termites are attracted to water and humidity. They eat your entire post. You have to demolishing everything around and redo it, basically. That happened to our grand build in Tokyo, Sangenjaya Villa, which is my most beautiful build to date. So 2 of the corner posts were completely eaten. So we had to demolish everything around, build away a window, and then put one of those or 2 of those on each corner, one of those traditional Japanese joints. And then we built it in. So things happen all the time. And you never really know unless you start demolishing. And that's something that I see. We get a lot of like creative people sending us drawings on things that are mostly AI generated nowadays. We work a little bit with AI, but there's like, it needs to be doable as well. Like you can have great ideas with AI, but if you cannot source that sync that generative AI has created for you, especially now when it's really hard to get a hold of good materials and stuff, like it's really easy to work with what's already in front of you. And in order to elevate that process, you can buy used showroom units from Yahoo auction or whatever.
Good to know.
The moment you start dealing and importing things get 10 times harder. Just the way Japanese people build kitchens, it's just different from abroad.
Everything here is standardized to fit
Everything
into
is standardized.
the standardized settings and plugs and piping systems that they have.
Think a unit kitchen, a unit bath, a vanity. A vanity here, it's one unit. You just put it in place and then you connect the pipes and then it's good to go. Unit bath here as well. Now, like all the construction industry in Tokyo is kind of halted because they cannot get unit baths in.
Because of the
Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah, Strait of
Iran.
Hormuz being closed and materials not coming in or not being produced anymore.
Not being produced anymore at all. And not only like unit baths, just wallpaper, the glue for wallpaper. You can, like last week, you could not buy glue for wallpaper in the home centers. You cannot buy, like, the color gray is sold out. And no one knows when it's going to be available again. It's real estate is getting more expensive, but so is renovation as well. And right now, there are many, many big construction companies that are like halted. They're almost done, but they cannot finish.
I think it was even in the news recently that a few large companies have made these announcements that there will be delays, big projects put on hold, and that
Toto, Inax, Lixil, like all these big companies, they don't get their things inside. And it's not like all the units, but whenever there's like glue on these small things, like you cannot assemble them anymore. So my neighbor was going to do a renovation and she rented Sanginjaya house for over a month. And she was going to live there like at this time. She was going to move in last week during her renovation. But she canceled because
she can't renovate her
renovate her own space.
So that was a good timing for you in the waterfall house, that you were able to go through the whole process.
We were able, but we wouldn't have been so impacted, I think, because we're not really building with so many Japanese materials. We built like wood on the entire bathroom. Maybe the toilets and these kind of things would have been kind of hard to install for us, but we used what we had. We reused the wood on the walls, sanded them for probably spent 100 hours just sanding, oiling.
When you start demolishing after cleaning it up and everything, do you already have an idea of the total cost it's going to be to renovate? Or do you just set yourself a budget? We're going to spend this much and not more? Or do you just kind of go with the flow and you focus on your creative vision for the space first and the cost comes second?
It's a very interesting question. I believe my first apartment that I renovated in Tokyo, the entire cost of renovating that apartment was 1.5 or 1.7 million yen. It's $10,000. Nothing for a full renovation. We demolished everything. That apartment, it was my first one, and I didn't really have any money. So you spend your time. It was the cheapest plywood on the walls. It was not a unit kitchen, but cabinet kitchen from IKEA. I bought like a countertop from my local lumber, and I was really cheap on renovation. My next one was a freestanding house, and maybe I had the double like budget.
3 million.
3 million. And then the next one was 8 million. So you never really know. I think if you have money, you're kind of going to spend it.
Because there's an endless amount of things you can spend it on. You can buy the next great wood, the next great furniture, the next great home appliance. And there's no ceiling.
It's all a balance. And many of these things, the worst thing for me that can happen psychologically with a renovation is that you spend a year building this house that you want to be proud of. And then you're kind of unhappy with the flooring material or the wall material. And that's a little thing that I probably wouldn't be able to let go, if that makes sense.
So you'd rather spend the money on getting the thing that you really feel is right for the space, and not have any regrets.
Exactly.
You mentioned the psychological fear of something. When you were starting out that project, you were also having the farmhouse that was kind of like becoming a storage and also becoming a sort of problem. Did that also weigh on you at the time? And like, I don't want this waterfall house to also turn or unfinished.
But with that experience in my backpack, I knew that I am going to pull this through. We're going to finish this renovation. But we the initial finish date was November, then it was December, and then we finally finished in April. It's just the Toden, Tokyo Denryoku is gonna pull in the new electricity lines, and then we need the permission to get the ryokan license. But other than that, it's finished. We gotta solve some management things when it comes to cleaning and property management.
Well, renting it out, it's a completely different matter than legally license-wise.
Exactly. But we're working towards it, so it will be available for rental from end of June is the plan.
So plan to begin with.
No plan to begin with.
What point in time do you get the vision for how you wanted it to look in its current, the state that you've brought it to?
I think it evolves all the time. The moment you step into a space, you kind of have to look around and you have to feel. It's just it starts the moment you step into the house. And I've toured hundreds, maybe 1,000 apartments or houses at this stage, but it just feels good. And I really like the idea of how can I turn this, in my case, rundown space into something cool and something that I can be proud of and something that feels representable for what I stand for and my values in a way. So the process starts the moment you step inside, and then the more you touch and the more you demolish and the more you do research, things change all the time.
With things changing and flowing, I imagine the cost also fluctuates. We were just on the topic, but it's a house that you've also documented the process from start to finish, and you often address it as the $25,000 waterfall house. $25,000 was the purchasing price.
Yes.
How much would you estimate, maybe a ballpark of what the renovation cost was in the end?
Including the purchase cost, we spent about $100,000. Taking Japandi waterfall house from completely abandoned, filled with treasures and trash, into a livable nature retreat 80 minutes from Tokyo, next to Chiba's biggest waterfall house. And that's $100,000, which is a lot of money, but it's a paradise. We have a creek in the garden. We have a little waterfall that we just revived. I haven't really showed it online just yet.
So the water system or the water flow was cleaned up or fixed?
we cleaned it up. There's a well that goes 20 meter underground and then pumps water up. We redid the entire water treatment system in the garden. Getting permits for that was a pain as well. So I think we spent about 10 million in total on the renovation, with my time counted as zero, basically. And many of these things were there's a big hill that leads up from the house. So there's no car access. And just the operational difficulties of taking materials down the hill and up again was a huge nightmare.
I can imagine, especially heavy appliances.
Yeah, and last summer, 4 meter long planks. Some of the beams that we pulled out, they're 100 kilos. We had help. I'm the global ambassador of Yanmar Compact Equipment. So they got us an excavator, and we've been digging with that excavator. And we have a small carrier from Yanmar who takes us up and down the hill. So we've had a lot of people helping out. Not only Yanmar, but people in the neighborhood, people coming by to see what it is, who wants to join in and maybe dig for a day or build for a day.
Yeah, a lot of locals come around and hey, can I do something?
Yeah. Locals and people coming from pretty far away too. So
was this your biggest project to date?
Totally. This was by far the biggest project. We had a huge opening party the 11th of April.
I think the ambassador and more people came as well.
The Swedish ambassador was there. The Otaki mayor was there. We had the CEO of Yanmar, Kudo-san. Inoguchi Kuniko-san. Many politicians and many people. So people, not only foreigners, but people are getting involved in this revival and this akiya kind of idea. Otaki, where Japandi Waterfall House is located, has their population has almost halved in just a few decades. So it's the same conversation as before. People want new energy and people want things to happen. It's good for business. It's good for business. It's good for everything around too. And a town without people, it's a dead place, really. So people, and it's gorgeous. The area itself is such a hidden gem. So I'll invite you out sometime.
Yeah, I'd love to see it in person.
We had 160 people coming for the party. Taco truck from La Cabina. We had the biggest caricature Instagram account caricature party, who just happened to be the cousin of my fiance, Lia-chan.
No.
So they came from Hawaii.
Wow.
It was a huge success. Like it's and showing what you worked on for like 9 months and getting 160 people out in the countryside just for the day. It was a lot of logistics, but yeah. After that, I've just been focusing on Tokyo and going out there and just enjoying every weekend, which has been incredible.
Yeah, because it's never ending. It's your weekends, evenings, long days. There needs to be progress.
Yeah.
With such a huge project coming to a close and seeing how far you've come from doing things by yourself with a little bit of help from Leah as well at times, to starting to have a few locals help out, your carpenter friend, Kazuki-san.
Yes.
And to now being in partnership with companies like Yanmar, to have politicians being involved in seeing what you're capable of and the many projects you've completed. What does it make you dreamy about with these like new possibilities? Are you seeing like, oh, if we can work with companies like this now, what are your next big projects that you kind of are thinking about and maybe close to doable and maybe huge dreams that you may have?
I want to keep creating cool spaces. I think that's really intriguing and a lot of fun. And I think it's a very similar process to creating a piece of content and creating a house or maybe creating a company. It's like building something. And if you build and you're focused and you spend time and you have a vision, things go well, I guess. You just got to work hard for it. I want to keep building, but I think that there's a lot of things that I can learn from people in my surroundings, and maybe that Japanese people can learn from a foreign mindset, especially when it comes to this like akiya problem. And it's very interesting to be invited to these rooms where like a few years ago, I would have never imagined that I would have been invited in. Especially when it comes to this question of like akiya and many of these politicians, they asked about like inheritance tax. How is that in Sweden? And what can we learn about from you guys? And like, so I think it's not so much for me, it's not so much on a political level. It's more about just talk about what we do, and maybe they can, because I don't know much and enough about Japanese politics and law and stuff. So, but if they can pick some good things from what I do, that would make me happy, I think.
So continue building maybe new houses, maybe little by little bigger houses.
Yes.
Maybe one day a full-on ryokan renovation.
That would be a dream.
But also the collaboration with locals, the cultural exchange is equally important.
It was very interesting. Like I was invited to India last week, and to like deepen the relationship between Japan. I don't know why they chose me, but I think it was because of like the social impact of akiyas. Which was just a weird...
India, about akiya. Wow.
Yeah, so with Japanese politicians. The Indian Prime Minister was there.
Narendra Modi?
Yeah, with like 4,000 policemen around.
Yeah. I remember when the G20 was in Osaka.
Modi-san was there.
Yeah, and he was staying at the hotel that I was working at the time. Well, it was like one of these movies where he had the whole floor for himself. There was one room where he was staying. The other room was turned into this like secret service kind of. There were like checks, and only limited amount of personnel was allowed to go. And
so it was the same here. 4,000 policemen. So it's a lot of fun things happening, but you have to be kind of very selective with what, because I renovate houses, but then we do a lot of media as well. So. Yeah, what opportunities do you jump on, really?
media is something, when we last bumped into each other by chance at an event, you were telling me something you want to do a lot more of. I would say it's also something that's really enabled you over the years to develop your activity, to connect with people and such. You've done a lot of your media by yourself on social media.
Yes.
When you talk about wanting to do more media now, what do you envision for your project and your company?
Media. What is media? Is media or social media? It's the same thing nowadays, I believe.
Yeah, it's all kind of merging together.
Yeah.
Right?
Like we are producing so much on Anton in Japan. We produce about 5 pieces of content that is distributed a week. And it's a lot of fun, but it can also be, I have help. I'm not alone. I have very capable people that I work with. But yeah, it's a very similar mindset, I think, to the real estate and the renovation part. Like you want to do better and jump on more creative processes and more creative projects all the time. And we want to make better content all the time.
Document more, maybe turn this into like a proper, more in detail series.
I think so.
A lot of
down the line, I think. But I think you got to pick a really good project. It cannot just be any project. I think Japandi waterfall house was so unique and so picturesque and so beautiful in a way that I had this idea of how to make it beautiful, but I also had this idea of how to turn it into kind of a small TV series. And the amount of foreign producer who's reached out, hey, can we license your content? Hey, can we do this? Hey, can we do that? So I think we're onto something. Maybe distribute it on one of the bigger channels. Maybe when we have the resources to maybe have the sound and like update the sound a little bit, maybe buy a better camera or these kind of things. I think it would be really cool to show the renovation and just up the quality on everything, basically. Every time. Like if you try to do it better and better and better, I think in order to do that, we need to be better with planning and better with design, I think. Design-wise, maybe not so much, but with the planning. And we need to work with people we can trust from the beginning till the end, who knows that, okay, this part is going to take 3 weeks, this is going to take 4 weeks. Because if not, you're left in kind of a void. Maybe you have a camera team are like, okay, now we can't work, we can't shoot for 2 weeks. What are we going to do? So I think it's a lot of like project management around it.
A lot of logistics to coordinate people, not only then for the construction, but also to coordinate.
Also for the video, because that alone it's a job on its own. Like production. People run production companies, but to run a renovation company, real estate, and production, we need to grow in the right way. But I totally see, and I would love to make like a high quality, turning like a ruin into a luxury retreat or a ryokan of some sort, and revive it with only local materials. Or I think it needs to be like a strong concept behind it, but that's super exciting to me.
Very exciting projects.
Yes.
Personal passion that started it all. The renovation of your own home. A book that documented things at the beginning. That book, if you were to rewrite it today, with all the experience you've gained over the years, what would you change? What would you keep?
I think I would have written the book more from the view of a Japanese person, I think.
Oh.
I'm still not Japanese. I would probably never be. But I wrote it from kind of a DIY Swedish person mindset in order to answer all the questions that I was bombarded with online, because everything went so fast. Like we published a few videos and then tens or maybe hundreds of thousands of comments, and people were longing for answers. But now it's basically the info that's in that book is probably a little bit deeper than the general akiya content, I think. But I think that there are ways to go even deeper and maybe explore the reasons behind so many akiyas exist. And by being in kind of the real estate and development world, you kind of see the real reasons why so many akiyas are there. Also, my Japanese have improved. Also, I've been here longer, so I've learned a lot during the past 2 years. have more experience when it comes to renovation. I have more experience when it comes to real estate. So I would have written it, I think, more from like the reason behind these things, from more of a societal perspective rather than from my perspective.
So not the DIY, but like the social cultural context, and also what these properties can become, and why are they important and relevant in the spaces they occupy, and not just as a kind of DIY project.
Exactly. And it was also, it's called Free Houses in Japan, the true story of how I make money DIY renovating abandoned homes. It's still DIY, but some of our houses is not DIY at all. It's just like professionals, like from the beginning till the end. And I'm just in like doing the design overview and choosing materials and floor plans and whatnot. So I think I've changed, and probably my point of view has changed as well. And I've learned a lot more. So I think you're right on those topics, but I also think I would go deeper on the phenomenon, like the societal impact, and also more about real estate and why no one, like why these akiyas exist, more from like an inheritance point of view in a way, and like the legalities around it, and also about like the real estate market in general, I think, because I think that's really interesting. When you think of real estate from like American real estate or European real estate, it's kind of black and white, right? Obviously it's in an investment unit or it's a residential, but in Japan it's so divided. Everything about Japan is so niche. There are some real estate agents, they only focus on vacant properties. Some focus on like bank retaken properties. Some only does rentals. Some only does buying. Some only does. It's so niche, and everybody has their own little market. And even if you have an akiya, maybe the real estate agent that you know, maybe they only deal with high-end properties, and they would have no idea how to sell or market or sell an akiya. Maybe they would, but maybe it would be, it wouldn't be as good as if they went straight to the source of a akiya broker, for example.
Plenty of things to write about. Definitely enough material to make an updated edition of your book.
Yes, but I really don't want to spend more time on that right now. I wrote one book, maybe in a year. Maybe
a lot of other more important projects already in the works.
I think so.
We might need to have you back a third time to catch up again on all the things that we've been working on.
Maybe we'll shoot the next one at the Japandi waterfall.
Oh yeah, that could be an interesting project. Very interesting, a very good idea. Anton, we covered a lot today.
Yes.
Is there anything that you would have liked to bring up, to mention, to share that I didn't ask you about?
Maybe we really don't promote Japandi houses a lot. I think it's we have a pretty high occupancy, but if the viewers wants to come and stay in Tokyo, in Sangenjaya, Nakano, Japandi Waterfall House, japandihouses.com, and then our newer venture of buying property in Tokyo, Japandi Real Estate. And then watch Anton in Japan.
Yeah, we'll put all the links in the description to your channels, to your properties. People can go check them out and experience. Maybe a great place to stay and explore Tokyo while on a holiday, or maybe head out of the city a little bit and enjoy a nice garden, waterfall nearby. Anton, it's been fantastic having you back.
Thank you very much, Tobias.
I'm very much looking forward to seeing all the upcoming projects on your channel. And thank you.
Thank you very much.
And thank you everyone for listening and watching. This was Unpacking Japan, and we'll see you in the next episode. Take care.
Thank you. Arigatou gozaimasu.
Thank you. That was awesome. Wow. So much has happened since last. Thanks for sticking with us until the end. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to Unpacking Japan. It's the best way to help us grow and ensures we can keep bringing you these deep dives every week. Till next time, take care.